Now, in today's Academy lesson, we're going to talk about the philosophies and theory of using the pass versus a more overt control as a control. Now, in the last Academy lesson, we talked about the classic pass, and I showed you guys the actual mechanics of it. However, there is a lot of philosophy and a lot of theory that goes behind into doing this move in use. Now, one of the main schools of thought in this idea is that it has poor economy of motion, because let's say we want to control the 9 of clubs to the top of the deck. We're essentially shifting the entirety of the deck just to control one card to the top. For that exact same reason, people tend to prefer moves like the side steal, where you are essentially stealing one card as opposed to shifting about half the deck. Now, for me personally, I think that the pass itself is a very smooth and efficient way of controlling a card, but some people might tend to disagree with that. Now, another interesting theory about the pass is the idea of using it as a control. Now, as I mentioned previous, you're using a pass to convey the idea that the card that the spectator picked stays in the middle of the deck without any sort of action taking place that the spectator could visibly see. Now, the card is controlled to the top. The perception should be that there's no way that the card should be anywhere under the magician's control, because the magician supposedly hasn't done anything with the deck. That's what the pass is supposed to convey. However, if you do something of a more overt control, such as, for example, the Mahatma Shuffle, the spectator sees active manipulation of the cards taking place. They see you manipulating the cards. They see you shuffling the cards. So therefore, there's an intrinsic possibility of the card being on the top or near the top or near the bottom. Whereas a pass, the spectator shouldn't be aware that anything took place because there is nothing to see for them. They shouldn't be aware of anything, and especially if you're doing a smooth pass, they shouldn't see anything to begin with. So those are the two ideas of thought between using the pass as a control versus using a more open control. So if the trick calls for the card to stay in the middle according to the perception of the spectator, then use a pass. Whereas if you are trying to display an element of control to the spectator, use a more overt control such as the Mahatma Shuffle or one of the many controls we taught on the Card Academy. Now, as I mentioned last week, the pass is not a fast move. If you think fast, you're going to think jarring, you're going to drop the cards all over the floor, and it's not going to be a simple thing. Whereas if you think smooth, then you're going to be able to do the pass, and you're going to focus on the idea of keeping it as silent as possible. That's one of the issues that people tend to face when learning the pass, is the idea of sound. They tend to neglect sound. However, sound is a telltale giveaway for the pass. Now, the way to avoid that is by thinking smooth. You never want to be fast when it comes to the pass. The pass is not a fast action. It's not intended to be a fast action. It's intended to be a smooth and silent action. So if you're doing a pass and it's making a lot of noise, you need to have more practice. You need to invest more time into learning the actual pass itself. Another school of thought is the idea of using the pass as an overt move. Now, this is an argument that I've seen before with a move like a snap deal, because you could easily make the snap deal be a move where you make the cards disappear supposedly from the table or from your leg in this case, or you could use it as a control. In this case, you've seen Leonard Green use the move where he simulates taking a card, putting it on top of a packet, and of course, in that action, the card's still controlled. So using a move as a covert action and also as an overt action. Same thing can be done with the pass. You could use it as a covert action where you're controlling a card to the top of the deck, or you could use it as an overt action where the visible nature of the card being controlled is displayed to the spectator. Now, I personally like to use this. Some people have an issue with using the pass as an overt move. To me, I love the visual nature of the pass as this sort of face-up move where you could have the spectator touch a card. One thing that I like to do often is, as an opener, I'll tell the spectator to touch any card and without looking, to imagine and to try to guess how far that card is from the face of the deck. Now, when the spectator is distracted and they're thinking, that's when I execute the pass. And then when I draw back attention to the cards, they see that the card is in fact at the face. So the speed and the timing for me for that is go ahead, touch any card. Now, without looking, if you were to guess how far is that 3 of spades from the face of the deck, how far? And of course, when a spectator draws back attention, they see that the 3 of spades is in the front, and from there I could proceed in whichever way I see fit. Here's a little bit of a fun trick based on the idea of the cavorting aces. Now, the cavorting aces is a very, very famous routine using the pass. However, this is just a speedy and effective way of doing it that just involves the 4 aces. For this particular trick, you tell the spectator that you're going to take the 2 black aces and you're going to leave them face down on top of the deck, just like this. You're going to leave the 2 red aces, which go in the middle of the deck, just like that. So the 2 red aces go in the middle of the deck and the 2 black aces go on top of the deck. So you ask the spectator if they could remember which are in the middle, the black ones or the red ones. Of course, in this case, the red ones happen to be on the outside and the black ones happen to be on the inside, just like that. Spectator, of course, got it incorrect. Or if you want, you could play the one that got it correct or incorrect. And all we're doing here is a simple pass. So in this case, we have the 2 red aces. So we have the red ace over here, face down on top. We have the red ace also face down on the bottom of the deck. And then we place the opposing colored aces in the middle. By getting a break between these 2 cards and executing a pass, we have now switched the location of all the cards. So in this case, now we have the black ace on top, a black ace on the bottom, and both red aces in the middle of the deck. Now, the crazy part about this is that it looks like way more is actually taking place. However, all you're doing is just a simple pass. And because the cards are face down in the deck, when you actually execute the pass, there shouldn't be anything different that the spectator perceives. But yet, when you show the fact that they have transposed and you have the red sandwiching the deck and the black in the middle, it becomes a nice little bit of a trick. So that's just a quick and easy version of the cavorting aces without all the phases. But that is the pass, some philosophy on the pass. And again, there are many different interpretations of how to use the move as a control, how to use the move overtly, openly. I use it openly in my man on the 9th floor routine, and it's one of my favorite routines that I do. But there's a lot of thought and theories and tribulation on it. Of course, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll be glad to read them and discuss with you guys further. But thank you guys for being members of the Pigcake Magic Academy. I hope you guys got something from this particular lesson, and I hope to see you on the next one.